Welcome to the 2015 USSSA Summer Championship Series, powered by MLB.com. Game number 2 of the semifinal today, 13U on the docket, and we're so glad that you've decided to join us today alongside Jim Duquette. I'm Bernie Gunther. Jim, early February, what an opportunity is for these kids just to get out and throw the ball around and hit it.
Yeah, there's no better tournament to be involved with. If you're going to go ahead and get started down here in the perfect weather, high 70s temperature, get outside, and where we just came from, where it's a little bit colder. It's about 10 degrees up in the Maryland area.
Well, with Jim Duquette, Bernie Gunther, and Jim, today we have MVP Banditos, two great teams combining against the West Pine Cobras, and a real challenge today for the Cobras to show that they are among the nation's elite.
Well, there's no question. They're one of the top teams here in Florida, and you really get a chance to see how you stack up against these two teams that have kind of combined, MVP and Banditos, year in and year out. When you go to Memphis, some of the national tournaments, they're both usually in the final, so they combine teams. It's a powerhouse.
It should be a really intriguing matchup today, and probably the most exciting thing is an opportunity to get to see maybe some future Major League stars on the field today, especially on the Banditos. They have a number of tremendous ball players.
Well, that's the thing. This program, the Banditos program, has been one of the tops for the last few seasons, and you start to see some of the top players go on and get drafted and at high levels, end up playing at the Major League level. And certainly, today we'll see a couple of those that, we'll be talking about 5 years from now when the amateur draft comes around in June.
Well, it should be a phenomenal ball game. It will be the MVP Banditos will be the home team in today's contest. As we check out the starters today, it'll be so important for the West Pine Cobras to get off to a great start. In their lineup, Adrian Sanchez will start off at short. Roberto Lopez in right field will bat second. It's Ortiz at second, batting third. Luke Pollock, the first baseman, is the cleanup hitter. Jake Eisenman at third base is fifth. Julian Gonzalez, designated hitter AAA. Alex Moore follows him in center field. Canola at catcher, and Brian Gonzalez rounds out the lineup as they go up against Chase LeBlanc today, and that's the MVP Banditos defense, brought to you by MLB.com Digital Academy. It's going to be Hernandez at left, Hampton in center, Booker in right field, Nixon at third, Morales is the shortstop, Cigarro at second, Walsh over at first base, and Joseph Cruz behind home plate. You just get the feeling when you look at the MVP Banditos pitcher, Chase LeBlanc, that he just has all the swagger when he's out there, doesn't he?
Oh, there's no doubt. And you look at him, he throws between 75 and 79 miles per hour, but what stands out is the size, the delivery. He's got nice, loose arm action. Going to be interesting to see how he handles. He's got the three-pitch mix, the fastball, the breaking ball, and the changeup.
We saw earlier Team Panama, the defending national champions. They got off to a phenomenal start with their impressive performance in a 7-0 win earlier. And, at the end of the day, it's all about getting off to that great start. And, February, very early in the season, it's a long way away from the national championships in August, but you love to be playing as good a baseball as you possibly can right away to start the season.
No doubt. And I think a lot of that goes into the wintertime, your plans and your time and effort that you put in during the winter. And sometimes it's inside because the weather isn't perfect. But, when you get outside, finally, it's fun to see it kind of come together.
We're ready for baseball here in South Florida. Adrian Sanchez will lead things off. And the first pitch is a little high. West Palm Cobras been a competitive travel team since 2010. This group of players have played together since being 8 years old. And it's amazing the memories that they must have. And this really now the most important time in their careers. I know that sometimes there's a lot of parents out there, 8, 9, 10 years old, every pitch is critical. But as you turn 13 and get ready for high school, this is when everybody's really starting to keep an eye out on you.
There's no doubt. And I think it's interesting when the team puts itself together, the fact that they've stayed together over the past 5 years, that kind of gives you a chance to compete against some of the best teams out there.
Well, good heat check, if you will, for West Pine here early, getting a chance to take on this MVP Banditos squad. Pitch is foul back.
See LeBlanc setting up on the third base side of the rubber. His foot is almost off of the rubber. Allows him to pitch inside to right-handers and also cover the plate to the outside as well. We'll see how he does to the outside part.
2-2. And this one is fouled out of play. Can hear one of the most well-known voices in youth baseball, and Ray DeLeon, as we see a strikeout there in the dugout for the MVP Banditos. And man, does he know how to find and groom talent down in Texas.
There's no doubt. You know, he has 3 of his players here. The others, the rest of the team are team MVP players. But talking to Ray DeLeon before the game, he certainly likes his pitcher, LeBlanc, today.
It's Roberto Lopez now, just a 7th grader, and that's the thing at 13U, they're kind of split 7th and 8th grade, but there's just a world of a difference between being a 7th grader and an 8th grader some days.
Physically, it is a world of difference. Like you said, even playing on this type of diamond, there's a huge difference when it comes to that, and some kids are capable of doing it in 8th grade, and some it's a little bit of a struggle for, understandably.
Lopez also pitches for the Cobras. They say that he has improved dramatically on the mound, and he was an integral part of the Cobras rotation a season ago. What are you looking for now at 13 years old? I know at 9, 10, 11 years old as a pitcher, you're really trying to work on your spots. Maybe not so important to have a breaking ball, but now at 13, what are you looking for as a pitcher to do?
Well, you know, the first thing I would see is fastball command, as we see LeBlanc walk Lopez there, the second hitter of the game. But, you know, in addition to that, you start to fiddle around with a breaking ball. And a lot of times it's a curveball, but sometimes it's a slider. A lot of times I like to see the curveball and just see the spin on the breaking ball, learn how to throw it properly, a good downward action. That's the thing. That's the risky part about being a 13-year-old when you start to throw breaking balls, is not throwing it properly. So it's real important to have your mechanics and make sure that you have good coaching to make sure that you're not putting unnecessary stress on the ligaments.
Brandon Ortiz puts this one into play. Looked a little bit like your lob wedge when it kicked back up.
Nice play by LeBlanc there. He looked towards first base to see if his first baseman was going to get there. There was no chance of him there, so LeBlanc went over, bare-handed it, flipped it over to first. Nice play.
He does move over, run over to second as he takes another look at the sacrifice. Pretty good placement there. So a chance for the Cobras to strike first. Lopez in scoring position. And here is Luke Pollock, 8th grader.
A little bit unusual to see a bunt moving a runner over there in the first inning, but I think you certainly know when you're West Pines, knowing that you're playing against a good team, that every run is going to be important.
1-0, down and outside.
See if they can get an early lead and then hold on, and that's the beauty of baseball. Even if you're playing against a powerhouse team, you score early. Sometimes you put a little extra pressure on the opponent.
On some days, that is the day your pitcher has the game of a lifetime, and you're right there in the thick of things. And right now, Adrian LeBlanc is behind 3-0 to the cleanup hitter for the Cobras, Luke Pollock, who has a dangerous bat. And a walk.
Really not much of a attempt there to pitch to Pollock. He can really, as we hear, really can swing the bat. Nice eye there at the plate, seeing 4 pitches and drawing a walk.
Second walk issued here in the first inning. And now Jake Eisenman at the plate. Just beginning his 3rd season with the Cobras. Big opportunity here to put the first run on the board in the semifinal for the President's Day Super NIT.
It's good baseball awareness there by Eisman. You know, here's a 4-pitch walk to the previous hitter. He's going to take a pitch. Make sure that LeBlanc can throw a strike before he's going to hit.
Runner going. The throw down to third, sails into left field, and they're waving around Lopez. Here's the throw to the plate, and the Cobras will strike first. Opportunistic baseball by West Pines.
That was just a ball that sailed on Cruz. Cruz has a plus arm, even for 13 years old. And that's a ball, if he made a nice throw to third base, I think he nails him at third on the stolen base attempt, but he airmailed it over the third baseman's head, and left fielder backing up Hernandez airmailed it back home. Otherwise, I think they might have had a chance there.
And so now a big opportunity to give the Cobras a 2-0 lead. The runner on third is Luke Pollock, moved all the way from first to third on the overthrow.
There you go. You got the bunt there, the third hole hitter. You don't usually see a 3-hole hitter bunting. He ends up moving him over, and the guy ends up scoring. Early lead.
They say Eisenman is swinging a hot bat currently. An opportunity here to make it 2-0 Cobras. No matter what level you're watching in baseball, though, the walks can be an issue, and I know that that'll be one of the big focal points in spring training is you got to limit the walks, because somehow it always turns into runs one way or another.
No question, and that's what you see early on in any type of game, whether it's the major leagues, the professionals, or even here at age 13. You look at the command, and it's going to be understandable. Command of the strike zone early on in the season is not going to be there like it would be middle of the season or towards the end.
3-2 is the count. Waits on it and hits it into center field, and it gets down for a base hit. Pollock is going to come in to score, and the Cobras lead it 2-0.
Well, couldn't work out any better for West Pines, taking the early lead, and a base hit by Eisman there. The 3-2 count did a nice job just kind of fighting off the pitch, and center fielder Hampton broke back a couple of steps and wasn't able to adjust. It ends up falling in front of him.
Julian Gonzalez now trying to continue the rally here. Sure, this is not the ball game that the Banditos expected. This one into right field, and it's caught by Booker. But 2 walks turn into 2 runs. MVP Banditos will have their first crack at the plate when we come back to Miami. Welcome back to the 2015 USSSA Summer Championship Series. Not sure that Ronaldo Basellis thought that when he would come to the plate he would have a lead of 2-0, but that is the way things look as he'll go against the MVP Banditos lineup. Cigarro leads things off. Nixon hits second. Yo-Yo Morales third. The cleanup hitter is Maurice Hampton, the center fielder. Hernandez in the 5-hole. Walsh is 6th, and it's Cruz, LeBlanc, and Booker 7, 8, and 9 for the MVP Banditos, but it's always good as a pitcher to head to the mound up 2 runs.
Well, it is, and I think that's the thing that when you look at what West Pines did playing early on, as we see their defense take an early lead, now put the pressure on the MVP Banditos to see if they can answer with a couple of runs of their own. They throw in a left-hander on the mound. We'll see how they react.
Saw the defense for the Cobras. It'll be so important for them to play good fundamental baseball, because we saw earlier that was really the downfall in Team Panama's win, as they really got a lot of help in their 7-0 win.
Yeah, the defense kind of failed again early on. Yeah, the fundamentals aren't quite what you expect them to be. A couple of failed rundowns led to some unearned runs, and the game would have been a lot different if they could have executed a rundown between first and second.
Michael Cigarro will lead things off, second baseman for the MVP Banditos. One of the members that's from Florida. His father, Mike Cigarro, integral role in putting together the MVP program down here in South Florida. And that's one of the things, if you're a general manager or a scout, you just hang out in South Florida, you probably could pick up at least 4 or 5 players just every year if you could surround and pick up the best players.
Baseball down here is some of the best in the country. There's no denying that. Of course, you go southern Florida, southern California, you can go into the whole state of Texas. Those are 3 of the real big areas of baseball hotbeds. Here we are. You see a 3-0 count right out of the chute. First hitter. Pitching coach going to go out, see if he can calm him down. Maybe some first batter jitters, even with a 2-0 lead.
Well, you certainly don't want to walk the leadoff hitter, and that's exactly what they're going to do, because the 2 walks turned into 2 runs for the Cobras. And this is a lineup that'll make you pay, especially with some of the big bats that are coming up next. Nixon, Morales, and Hampton.
Nixon been swinging a very hot bat for the MVP Banditos, and certainly this lineup is loaded with talent, loaded with power.
You just see when Nixon steps into the box the presence that he brings. Doesn't he look like
confidence?
Great stance.
Very relaxed, kind of an upright stance. Really good balance. We'll see if Segarro at first base, as he leads off there, gets a left-hander. See if he can get a read. See if he can get a good jump and see if they'll decide to move him or not. First inning.
Bacella's with the 0-1. Segarro's on his way to second and no throw.
Went on first movement there. Nice job, nice read. He drew a throw, his first throw over. Decided, okay, I've got enough to go on here. Went on first movement.
Put into play. And the hold Segarro at third, and they're on the corners with nobody out.
Oh, that's a perfectly placed ball right off the third base bag, and no chance for the third baseman there, but that probably cost the MVP Banditos a run there because the ball wasn't able to go out into the outfield. See the ball bounce directly up and didn't even get out of the infield there. Lucky bounce there maybe for West Pines.
And so Bacella's finds himself in a little bit of trouble here in the first, and he's going to have to deal with Yo-Yo Morales, who's got a big bat on his shoulders. Tying runs aboard. They'll check Nixon back at first.
You have to be careful here. Bacella's will have to be with Segarro at third base. He's left-handed. He's got his back to the runner. Not a real deceptive move to first base. The run at third can maybe go.
Got him in a rundown, but no, they just call him safe at second, and Segarro comes in to score at first. They caught Nixon going the other way, and it looked for a second like the tag got there in time.
Couldn't really tell from this angle. We'll have to wait for the replay, but that was a play where MVP was going to give up an out for a run on this particular situation, and it ended up the runner Nixon gets to second base anyway, but Segarro ends up running. As soon as he saw the throw from the first baseman down to second, he took off, and he is going on first movement. Oh, tough angle there. Certainly looked like he placed a tag on him before he slid into second base, but the umpire thought otherwise.
Yeah, Frank Moore, the head coach of the Cobras, coming out. But now the tying run is in scoring position, and nobody's been retired here in the bottom of the first.
A worst-case scenario here for West Pines. You got to take a 2-0 lead against the powerhouse team, and then the first 2 hitters get on base. The first runner scores. The first hitter scores, and you have the tying run at second now. Morales a little late on that one. We had us ducking over here. Thankfully, we had the net up.
That's the key. I'm glad that they built it the way they did. Because I don't know, did you bring your mitt? That's the question.
Even if I had my mitt, I don't think the reaction time's quite the right at this point in our lives, Bernie. I think the reaction time's important.
Late again. Take another look at the tag at second base a moment ago.
Certainly looks like he got him right on the upper torso there, and his feet weren't to the base. Unless from a different angle, the umpire's not saying he tagged him, or he thought that maybe because of the high tag that his feet got to second base. But there was clearly several feet when it looked like the tag was placed. Nonetheless, runner at second base here with nobody out.
2-2 to Morales. Fisted him. And that one seemed like it took an eternity to get over to Yzerman, but he was able to throw it over to first and get Morales for out number one. Nixon does advance to third, and so there's a runner on third with one out.
That's a nice base running play by Nixon there. That's a tough play to advance on. The ball's hit to third base, but he saw it was hit slowly enough. The third baseman had to come in, so he ends up getting over to third base. Now you have the tying run in scoring position with one out, runner on third.
That'll bring Maurice Hampton to the plate. Looks like one of those big Texas hitters, doesn't he?
Maurice Hampton looks, as Ray De Leon said, he is a mini Bo Jackson is what he used as a comparison. This kid looks like a tremendous athlete.
And as we remember, Bo knows baseball, doesn't he?
Bo does know both sports. He knows baseball, most importantly. For a 13-year-old kid, this kid is built. Wow. Playing center field today, but not surprising he's hitting in the 4 spot.
Chance to tie the ball game.
You see the outfielders positioning. They're about as deep as you can be for a 13-year-old kid. Most of the time, that would be on the other side of the fence for a 13-year-old tournament.
Tons of respect. This ballpark, 305 down the left field line. It's 285 down the right field line and 385 to center field. So it's a spacious high school field, if you will, and certainly you have to hit a towering shot as a 13-year-old to get it out.
Most of the time you would not see a home run in this kind of park for 13-year-old kids. I would say that Hampton could be the exception. We may see a guy drive the ball close to the fence here.
A big pitch upcoming here. Here's the 3-2. Waits on it and rips it out to left field. And he'll tie the ball game. He tripped on his way over to second, so he'll return back to the bag at first, and it's 2-2.
Well, a nice piece of hitting there by Hampton. A little bit of an off-speed pitch on 3-2. He stayed back nicely. He drilled a one-hopper to the left fielder. Left fielder playing out there about 275 or so. Stays back nicely. Crushes a line drive into left field.
He scores Aaron Nixon. And it didn't take long for the MVP Banditos to tie it up. It's Hernandez's turn, the left fielder now.
Hernandez, another physical presence. That's the other thing that stands out with this MVP Banditos team is how big these kids are.
Runner going again, and they won't even make a throw to second. Hampton was much too quick. And that's pretty amazing to think about the speed he had, that he was nearly to second base just after the pickoff move.
No doubt. Well, the West Pines second baseman's kind of yelling at his first baseman saying, throw the ball. But you know what? He wasn't there. He wasn't covered second base. Don't yell at your buddy. Come on. You weren't there. Too late. Too late. The other thing, the first baseman's got to come in towards the pitcher to clear the runner.
Hampton says, why not take 3? And he does. Back-to-back stolen bases, and Hampton showing some future college coaches and scouts that he's really the complete player. You love when you have a power hitter that also has some speed.
Oh, man. He got a tremendous jump here. Look at it. The infielder's trying to hold him on at second base. He said, no, you're not going to hold me on. I'm going on first movement. No throw. That might have been a 4.440. What do you think? Pretty close.
Pretty good, yeah.
But the important thing there with Hampton, gets into scoring position again at third base now. Again, 1 out here. Let's see what Hernandez can do.
So a moment ago, Ray DeLeon coaching third. Just one of those great coaches that does a nice job of finding the talent, but also teaching the fundamentals. And year in and year out, he's put some big players through the system and given them an opportunity to play at the next level.
Ray does not mince words when you're playing, man. You know where you stand with him, and better have some thick skin, even for 13 years old. He'll let you know if you're not doing it. I tell you what, I've seen him a lot of years, Bernie, as you have, and his players, they play hard. They play well fundamentally. They're usually very well coached.
Waits on it again with the infield in, and Sanchez couldn't come up with a play. Hampton will score easily on the RBI single by Hernandez. And the MVP Banditos had their first lead of the ball game.
That's almost unfair, having Sanchez in on the grass there with Hernandez up. It was an off-speed pitch. He crushed a one-hopper line drive. No chance for the shortstop to even get his glove on it. Now Belcelis is at 22 pitches, and he only has 1 out.
Now he'll look to get Davis Walsh for the second out. And then that hit a swing and lined foul.
Say that is loud contact, Rennie, would you say? That was well struck, even though it was foul.
But I know there's a lot of bat manufacturers that just like to record that little ding. I'm sure they could sell a couple of bats just by the sound alone.
That is for sure. That sounds like a BB Core bat, not quite like that aluminum bat sound that you hear or used to hear.
Obviously now it's changed at the college game, and how do you feel that the BB Core bats are now finally affecting the prospects, if you will, coming out?
It's helped the pitching. I'll tell you, watching the college pitching for sure.
Throw down to second, not in time. There's a stolen base for Hernandez.
Yeah, I think the college game, you know, when you start to look at the offense and you watch the college World Series, and the fact that, you know, where not many balls hit out, the power numbers are down across the game. And I think that a big part of that is the BB Core. It's a safer game, certainly, but I think from pitcher standpoint, you can now pitch inside on guys and get outs where you really couldn't without the BB Core.
And I guess it goes some ways, you know, on both sides. Some would say a little more entertaining because the games are not nearly as offensive as they used to be. Some would say that maybe the happy medium between the 22 to 20 games and the 5 to 4 games is the best place to be. But for now, it does seem like the game is a little bit better at, you know, 5 to 4 as opposed to when we were in the 20s and every swing went out of the ballpark, it seemed.
I would agree with you on that part of it for sure. You don't see pitchers pitching scared anymore or afraid to come inside and pitch inside. I think it has helped. We're kind of going through this whole development, run scoring or not scoring at the major league level too, when you start to see it and seeing the offensive position players, the decline offensively.
Big pitch there, 2-2, got him swinging for a strikeout, and there's 2 away.
A nice fastball there by Belcelis, and ended up having Walsh out in front of a couple pitches. He sped up his bat there, got a fastball up in the strike zone, and got him to swing through it. The offense, you know, that's the one thing. You know, a lot of people say, well, I like going to an offensive game. I like to see action. I like to see 8-6 games. Well, I like to see 4-2 games too. Those are well pitched, good action games too. I think as long as the pace is good, the pace of action, sort of called.
Runner going, throw down to third, not in time. It's off the glove of Eisenman, and a stolen base for Albert Hernandez. That's the 4th steal here in the first inning for the MVP Banditos. And I know on the docket they're talking about potentially changing the strike zone. Still some time to really look into that as we take another look at the steal.
Another great jump there, and that's the one thing that West Pines has had a hard time with, is holding the runner at second base. The lead has been pretty big there for the base runners here for the Banditos, MVP Banditos, and Yeah, if you just show one time maybe an inside move, that can kind of keep them there, an extra pitch, and maybe gives you a chance to get an out.
Well, the game started the right way for West Pines, where they scored 2 runs in the top of the first. But the MVP Banditos, they've wasted no time taking their first lead, but the good news is they need just one more out to move to the second. Time called.
Belcella's been throwing a lot of breaking balls, I would say, and trying to keep him off balance. And this is a very, very tough lineup. You really have to mix your pitches well.
Fouled away.
Here's Cruz in the 7 spot, and you look at the swings that he takes. I mean, this is such a stacked lineup. The way he swung the bat speed he showed, he probably hit in most middle of the lineups here in this tournament. Sitting 7th for the MVP Banditos.
2-1.
We'll see if he goes to the breaking ball here. 1 ball, 2 strikes, getting ahead in the count. Hasn't been many counts where it's been in his favor, Belcella, so we'll see what he decides to do here, if he bounces a breaking ball or decides to go fastball up.
One, 2 is low.
Take a little breaking ball down. Catcher's going to go out. They got mixed up there. The catcher kind of calling for it chest high and ends up delivering the pitch down low. Again, early part of the season, you're got to make sure that you're on the same page here. Most of the time, you're going to be on the same page, but you're going to see some mix-ups at this early juncture.
Now you see a lot of time at this level. Some of the coaches will call the pitches. Sometimes the catcher calls the pitches. You know, it's one of those things. What a great opportunity for the 13-year-olds to get to learn the game when they call their own pitches, isn't it?
Well, it is. If that's the opportunity, and you see, like you said, you see a lot of the coaches calling it, and as long as they're explaining the thought process behind the calling, then I'm okay with calling pitches. But for the most part, like you said, it is a good opportunity to call the pitches.
There's a walk. The 3rd of the inning. Back-to-back walks started the issues for West Pines early.
Now batting the pitcher, number 99.
And now they're on the corners, and Chase LeBlanc has an opportunity to help out his cause.
Well, they've been running an awful lot on the pitcher here, even with a left-hander on the mound. We'll see if the catcher can run here. See what kind of wheels he has.
That's how the Banditos scored their first run, essentially maybe giving up Nixon on a tight play at second. Runner goes again, but goes late, and this one gets through the gap. No play that Sanchez can make, and Hernandez comes in to score. And it's now 4-2 as the MVP Banditos have their 4th hit of the contest.
And that's what makes these guys so difficult is here's Cruz who walks, and you're thinking if you're the pitcher, okay, he's probably taking here. First pitch, LeBlanc ends up hacking, and he hits it in between the hole between short and third.
And you saw there on the replay, Sanchez is really cheating over towards second base. Is that one of the challenges, being 12 years old and moving to this bigger diamond, is just finding your positioning?
It is. In this particular situation, you see all these powerful right-handed hitters. Normally, you want to be in the hole there thinking they're going to pull something there. He chose to play up the middle and ended up burning him a little bit.
Kyle Booker now the right fielder. Runners at first and second.
They're doing a little bit better job trying to hold the runner at second base here. You can see the shortstop creeping in behind the runner at second. That leaves a big, big hole in the shortstop position, but West Pine's trying to counteract the aggressive base running here, trying to keep the runner a little closer at second.
2-0.
I mean, Morales isn't even trying to fool him. He's basically setting up right there, a couple steps from second base.
Missed again. It's 3 balls and no strikes. And the Cobras are in danger of loading the bases here in the bottom of the first. And it's amazing how quick a game can go from being tight to out of hand.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they had an early lead, and now all of a sudden it looks like they can't get an out. They've given up 4 runs, and MVP Banditos now have hit around. This is the 10th hitter of the first inning.
A walk issued.
Top of the lineup for
And the bases are loaded.
The second baseman, number 3, Michael Segaro.
And back to the top of the lineup in Michael Segaro, who walked and scored the first run. Takes a called strike.
And Balcelis is already up to 39 pitches in the first inning. It's an awful lot of pitches to throw in one inning.
We've got a chance to talk to Tyson Hanisch from the MLB Digital Academy, who was on the air the first 3 innings, and that's one of the things he's talking about. It's so important to stress the fundamentals for these pitchers, but also to make sure you take care of the arm, because you know there's still a lot of baseball left for these young players at just 13 years old. They tried to steal home. Maybe some mixed signals there, and that is how the inning comes to its conclusion. 4-2, MVP Banditos on top. As we head to the second.
Entering the game and now playing
4-2 our score.
11, Julian Gonzalez.
And a new pitcher for the Cobras, Adrian Sanchez, 5'6", 8th grader from Pembroke Pines, Florida, just across the street. He'll get his turn against the MVP Banditos.
Well, Balcelis certainly had a tough first inning, and his pitch count got up there right around 40 pitches. And I know from the professional standpoint, when I used to oversee our minor league system for the Mets, we had a 30 to 40 pitch limit per inning. And when it got to about 35 or so, I was on our managers and pitching coach, hey, you need to get somebody up and look at getting them out. So certainly when you look at it, the right decision here. 40 pitches in one inning, that's plenty for one day.
But especially here early in the season, where this is essentially a little bit like spring training. You know, one of the reasons why the 13-year-olds are playing 60-90 here in this tournament is this is a television field that's a part of a couple of games. Tomorrow we're going to carry the 2018 Amateur All-Star Classic, the 2019 Amateur All-Star Classic. And of course, there's high schoolers playing on the big field. We'll have the 14-year-old championship game tomorrow. So I guess that's what the 13-year-olds, you get the call. The bell tolls. Can you play 60-90? First tournament of the year, and here they are.
Hang with them, boys. Hang with them. Hey, you know what? They're doing a heck of a job. It's not an easy thing. It's a tough jump. But, you know, at this point in the season, that first tournament out of the chute, I think overall the baseball has been very good.
Segaro at the plate, leading off the inning. Remember, the inning came to its conclusion with a potential attempted steal of home.
Yeah. You don't usually see a bases-loaded steal with 2 outs. Ray De Leon sometimes will do some unconventional things when he picks up something, and I saw him explaining to his catcher, who was at third, Cruz. He said, hey, listen, this guy's slow to the plate. As soon as he steps back, I want you going. He was still out by a long shot at home. Go back to the play that Seguro, the hitter right now, made it to end the inning. Boy,
right.
He was playing second base, come back to the pitcher, and he and the shortstop got a little bit confused and who should cover the bag. It was a low throw, but he makes a nice pick, threw the ball to first base to end the inning.
Bouncer to short. And Sagaro is retired for the first out of the inning as Gonzalez, the new shortstop, sends it across.
Oh, nice play by Gonzalez. I mean, that is not an easy play, as we've talked about in this diamond. And generally, you'll see young infielders stay back on that ball. He came in, charged it nicely with a nice throw, as we see the replay here. Not hard hit. Came in under control with a strong throw to first base to get him.
Good little play there for Gonzalez. And that'll bring up Nixon, who walked and scored in the first inning.
That was his first play of the inning. Here he is going out there, new position. He looks like a shortstop anyway, but he's been sitting there as the DH, go out there as the shortstop, make the play. Nice job.
Line to third, and it takes a wicked hop over Jake Eisenman.
Seen a couple tough hops down there at third base. That is not an easy position anyway. And when you see a ball take a hop like that, boy, that is tough. What a swing by Nixon. No real chance there unless he wants to get his bare hand there. And that's a dangerous thing. You break a finger that way. We'll see if MVP Banditos are as aggressive on the base pass here in this second inning. It was a track meet in the first inning. There's West Pines trying to pitch out. See if they can control the game. See what Coach Ray De Leon does here. Puts on the stealer or not. Had him leading there, Bernie.
They did.
On a 2-0 count, looked like Nixon was going to go. Let's see if Coach De Leon takes that off or not. Took half a step towards second base, but the throw was high.
Two-0 runner does go. And he'll have to return back to the bag at first.
Sanchez pretty quick to the plate. Will give the catcher a chance to throw him out at second base. Nixon looks like he can run a little bit.
2 balls and 1 strike. Time is called.
Sanchez doing everything he can to disrupt the timing. That's an advanced move right there. You usually learn that in high school. He comes to the set position, holds. Finally, the hitter called time. Trying to disrupt the timing of the base runner.
Well, it's good to work on all the mechanics, especially at such a young age.
Yeah, that's a sign of good coaching right there. Good pitching coach. There's a couple ways to try to stop the running game. It's throw it over, quick throws, it's holding, it's stepping off. All of those as weapons. Being quick to the plate.
Popped up. And this one playable in foul territory. Luke Pollock makes the play for out number 2.
And that's all you're looking for there, Bernie. You know, you look at Sanchez, okay, he did a nice job holding a runner, throwing over, mixing it up. Now he throws a pitch, the runner doesn't go. You got to pop up, and all of a sudden you have 2 outs and a man on first. Big difference.
Now that'll bring Maurice Hampton to the plate.
And that'll make an adjustment for the outfielders. They took about 15 steps backwards now that Hampton's up.
Well, we saw him with his big bat earlier. The throw down to second, not in time, and Nixon has a stolen base. It's probably one of the things that they'll definitely try to clean up as the season continues. They have been running at will against the Cobras the MVP Banditos have today.
And that actually gave the Canola, the catcher, a chance. You know, there was at least a chance to throw down to second base and have at least a somewhat of a idea there and maybe close to the runner to keep him from stealing.
One and one to Hampton. I don't think it missed by much.
No, it didn't. Sanchez trying to, off-speed pitch, trying to loop a curveball in there on the inside part of the plate and get Hampton out in front, but umpire didn't go for that. Must have been a little high.
Swinging for the fences there, and he's down to his final cut. It's 2-2.
Well, let's see if Hampton can make an adjustment here. That's a tough off-speed pitch. Hampton's certainly a physical presence here. We'll see what Sanchez can do to keep him off balance. I wouldn't be surprised. 2-2 count here, 2 outs. See if you can throw another off-speed pitch here.
2-2, runner going, waited on it and fouled it back. And Nixon will return back to the bag at second.
Went to the fastball there.
He did.
So there it was, a couple off-speed pitches, hoping to get him out in front, see if he could blow a fastball by him, but Hampton did a nice job following it up. I like that pitch, though, the 2-2 fastball up. Now that opens up the possibility of a breaking ball here. There's the inside move. It's the first inside move we've seen, Bernie.
Yeah,
you must have been listening to the broadcast. What do you think?
They are.
I mean,
they're
that's
coaching him up from up here, right?
Yeah, that's the way to keep the runner close to second. I mean, they've been running at will from second base without even a throw sometimes to third. Okay, mix it up a little bit. Here's an inside move. I like it.
Sanchez comes set. 2-2 again. Cold strike 3. Got him with the off-speed pitch. And that will retire the side. Sanchez gets a huge K to end the inning. 4-2 our score. And we'll try it again. Let's check in once again with the third member of our team. Down on the field, Kristen Bedard. KB, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Bernie. Is this working now?
Yeah, we hear you.
We got you.
Fantastic. Well, guys, this hybrid MVP Banditos held their first practice just 2 nights ago at a field about 10 minutes down the road. You guys hit the nail on the head when you said Ray DeLeon doesn't waste any time. Before pleasantries could be exchanged by the players, he had them split up into their positions, running fundamental drills. He wanted to see what they could do. He wanted to see what they could be made of. And you guys were absolutely right. He is vocal, and he wants to take this team far into the season.
Well, you put together a team like this, Jim, and there's nothing to say that it can't go far in the season. Obviously, we saw earlier what Team Panama was able to do. Currently, they're ranked #1. It's still very early in the season. USSSA power rankings really aren't even a factor because not enough tournaments have been played. But obviously, this Team MVP team won the Elite World Series. They won the national championship, so they got the bullseye on their backs as the team to beat. But I guess that's one of the ways to go toe-to-toe. We've seen that happen at the major league level. Try to put together some of the best group of players from another team, and you're even better the next season.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've seen it with a couple of teams already at the major league level. Obviously, the San Diego Padres stand out. Of course, the Red Sox, White Sox, Cubs, they've all improved their teams in the offseason. And this team here, MVP Banditos, I mean, they have experience. You've seen them in a lot of national tournaments as individual teams. Now you put it together. And it's interesting when they have 3, as Kristen is saying, 3 players there from the Banditos, the rest from MVP. I think if they go in other tournaments, Ray was telling us, hey, I'm going to have a little bit more of a mix of players from our team, from the Banditos. It's a little bit about traveling from Texas to here in Florida early in the season.
Well, that's travel plays a huge role, but that's one of the things that is probably a lot different to the earlier days of youth baseball. Is whereas it used to be if you lived in Miami, you would play, I would assume, 95+% of your games right here in South Florida. Now in this new era, as you see Alex Fernandez in the dugout right there in the middle, these players travel and sometimes hit 10, 12 states during the course of the summer.
It's amazing, the travel and the expense, but certainly the travel that parents and the players are able to put on here, even in early February. You get some teams or players from Texas coming in.
Pierre Hernandez will lead off the inning. I know, talking to Ray DeLeon, he said with this new USSSA Summer Championship Series, got 11 super regionals that'll be broadcasted before you get to the final three tournaments: the Louisville Slugger Major Baseball Championship, the DeMarini Elite World Series, and the USSSA National Youth Championships. He said he plans on making an appearance at the majority, and I know that that's something that the folks up in Michigan, when we go up to Canton and in Atlanta, will be excited to have a team like the Banditos come up and challenge the best up in that area.
Well, you'd like to be able to play against some of the best, and they clearly have been year to year. They're some of the best baseball. Team MVP, obviously, out of Miami. Those are the two top teams, and as you mentioned, Team Panama, another really good team.
Mora swings and lifts it into center field, and it is essentially a C&I single, as it just found that hole out there, and not sure how it got past Morales, but it fell right in front of the Speedy Hampton. It picked just the right spot.
Top of the lineup for the
Well,
Cobras.
that's one of those where you're nice. It's a nice job making contact. You're hoping that it has enough to get out to the outfield. Not a real physical kid, but he ends up getting it to the outfield grass. The shortstop going back on the ball. Morales just unable to reach it.
So 1 on. The Cobras scored their first 2 runs back in the first inning. Is Adrian Sanchez at the plate. They love to push across at least 1 here. Obviously, they love 2+, but you get 1 back.
Cobras batting 10 hitters, and when you get that bottom of the lineup hitter on base, that usually helps you try to score some runs. We saw this in the first inning, as you mentioned. That's how they scored their first couple runs.
Sanchez, a swing and a miss.
Sanchez swung at a fastball his first at bat up in the strike zone, swung through it. That was another pitch that I think he felt he should have hit, and ended up swinging through that one.
Well, that one got away from Cruz just enough to allow Mora to scoot up a bag, and he's safe at second.
Well, nice job there by Mora to get the read here. It was not that far away from the catcher. Breaking ball up, and Cruz took his eye off of it, got away from him, and just far enough. Mora gets into second, slotting.
Missed down and outside. Wait 1 minute. They apparently have struck out Sanchez. Incredible.
Well, that was a pitch, looked like it was up in the strike zone. I'm going to come out and have a couple of words.
Frank Moore, the head coach, with a couple of choice words down at third. I know a couple of the managers would say spring training for the umpires as well.
Call him out on a pitch that was up in the strike zone and really didn't look like it was a strike.
Here's Lopez with a runner in scoring position and 1 away.
See LeBlanc at 37 pitches, but he has a nice delivery, nice arm action. There is a big difference between his fastball and most other fastballs at age 13.
What does he do well that allows him to create that type of velocity at 13 years old?
Well, first off, he's got good size. He's got good downward plane, even for a 13-year-old. Good sized kid. He looks like he's about 6'1". And as he comes to his delivery, he cuts a good balance and really stays on his pitch as well. Sometimes you see left-handers fall off towards third base. He doesn't do that. He stays on his pitches very well and is very good directional. We call it north-south, going towards home plate. Does a nice job of staying on his pitches.
Fouled back by Lopez. He walked and scored one of the 2 runs scored by the Cobras. The winner of this one will be on the air tomorrow in our 13U championship game against Team Panama. Looking to clinch some of the early bursts to the Elite World Series. One thing I like about LeBlanc, he really does a phenomenal job of fielding his position, doesn't he?
He does. You know, and that's part of not falling off towards the third base side is he's in a good fielding position. And that's a one hopper, basically comebacker up the middle that he scoops and almost didn't give his first baseman enough time to get over to the bag. But yeah, he's made 3 nice plays so far today.
Brandon Ortiz. Big cut there.
Go back to the first inning there when the Cobras had Ortiz bunting in his first at bat. Raised to some eyebrows, and what are you doing with a 3-hole hitter running him over? But it ended up being a good decision. The run scored.
Popped up. And it almost hit the Escalade. You'd think that if you drove such a machine, you'd have a little better sense of where you parked it around the ballpark.
I saw Coach Ray arrive in that Escalade, Bernie. You would think that
I don't think the shuttle service came all the way from Texas, though,
Coach
right?
would know that's foul ball territory right there. Come on. Especially with his pitcher on the mound. A lot of right-handed hitters lofting him over there by his truck.
LeBlanc looking to end the top of the third. Swing and a miss, but it gets away. And they got him 3 steps before the bag, and that avoids a run scoring. We head to the bottom of the third here at the home of the Mavericks. MVP Banditos leading 4-2 in the 2015 USSSA Summer Championship Series, powered by MLB.com. Well, as we come back from break, let's take another look at the final out a minute ago.
Well, it's a great breaking ball by LeBlanc. We haven't seen many, but it gets away from Cruz. Now watch Cruz. Fires the ball back. Now that's about 100 feet because it's down by the backstop. He throws a C down to first base and nails a run. It actually saved a run because the runner was going to score from third base. Nice play by Cruz, showing off the arm.
Well, it'll be so important now for Sanchez to really settle down. He appears that he may have one of the stronger arms, at least early in the season, for the Cobras. He was very good in his first inning of work. He's thrown 20 pitches so far, but just doesn't get easy when you look at this lineup. There's no easy holes.
No, there really isn't. I mean, he went through what you would think would be the heart of any lineup, but Hernandez, Walsh, Cruz coming up this inning, all capable of swinging the bat very well. In fact, the 8-hole hitter LeBlanc had a hard hit single in his last at bat. So there is, as you mentioned, Bernie, no easy hitters.
And they have some great speed when they get aboard. Hernandez at the plate singled and scored back in the first, and he stole 2 bases. First pitch down and outside for a ball. All 4 runs came back in the first inning, and it started with back-to-back walks issued by Bacelis. Missed there. It's 2-0.
You see the shadows here a little bit. Pitcher in the sunlight, and the hitter starting to fall into the shade. It'll be a little bit more difficult for the hitter, or at least it should be here as the game goes on.
But I guess the good news about the way this ballpark is situated, there's not a whole lot of having to deal with the sun setting right into your eyes.
Right. No, it's no doubt that whoever designed this park, it certainly is beneficial to most of the fielders, that they won't have to fight that sun.
Unfortunately, if you were a softball player at Archbishop McCarthy, it appears, especially if you're in the batter's box, you might be looking right into the sunset at times.
That's where you want to play a lot of early day games out there if you're a softball, right, Bernie?
For sure. At the knees for a strike. 2-2. Sanchez has been very efficient in relief. Just 24 pitches thrown.
Sanchez really showed me something. The last hitter of last inning, the 4-hole hitter, Hampton, very feared hitter in this lineup. Ended up throwing a changeup, a 2-2 changeup, caught him looking for strike 3.
Popped up. And caught by the shortstop, Gonzalez. That's a good start to get Hernandez. Now they'll have to deal with Walsh, who struck out in his first appearance.
That's a nice job by Sanchez there. He threw an off-speed pitch, the pitch before, and missed, and he came back with a fastball up. He got Hernandez to pop him up. Disrupting timing, big part of pitching.
First pitch to Walsh, down and outside. Here at Alex Fernandez Field, it's a beautiful campus here, Archbishop McCarthy. This team won the national championship in 2011.
Terrific baseball program here. Talked about this in the first game. Nick Castellanos, Alex Avila, among the others. Most recent, anyway, players to come through this program playing at the major league level. Both Detroit Tigers.
And I don't know about you, but I don't remember any high school parks looking like this back when I was in school.
No, I can't say that I did either. I'll tell you, driving up here today, boy, it looks like a small college campus. Beautiful facility, beautiful baseball field.
There's a walk.
Well, Walsh doing a nice job there at the plate. Struck out his first time up, but he battled Sanchez. Sanchez hasn't had many walks. In fact, that was his first walk. Did a nice job showing patience at the plate.
Cruz is the hitter now with one out. Cruz walked his first time at the plate back in the first. In the dirt, gets away, and Walsh is on his way to second.
Sanchez having a little bit of trouble here. This last 2 hitters or so with his command, and see if he can dial it back in and throw a strike here. Behind the count, 2-0. We talked about how deep this lineup is for the MVP Banditos. You cannot take a break.
But I guess the best thing if you're on the roster is it's such a deep team that you know that your spot may always be in jeopardy too, and that's a good thing to have when you're a coach.
It is a good thing, there's no doubt. And yeah, you know you're going to get plenty of at-bats no matter where you're hitting. If you're hitting in a 9 spot, good chance you're going to get a couple of at-bats.
3 balls and 1 strike.
Sanchez going to the breaking ball a little bit too much here and having a hard time commanding that pitch right now. Again, early on in the season, you get up to that 35 to 40 pitch count, start to feel a little bit of fatigue
Popped up into center, a long run. And how about Mora coming down with it in center field for out number 2. And heads up, base running Walsh is going to come in to score. He was wheeling the entire way after the catch was made.
Well, that's just aggressive base running right there. Nice job by Walsh, and obviously the coach, Ray De Leon, there at third base, waving him the whole time. The fly ball was in center field. The wind's blowing in. And he had to dive to catch the ball, and then he kind of lobbed it into the infield. We'll see the replay here. So here is the base runner tagging up. Smart play at second base. Okay, here's the play. And then he lobs it into the infielder, who runs it in instead of throwing the ball in, and that cost him.
And so it's 5-2. The MVP Banditos on top, up by 3 here in the bottom of the third.
We talked about not getting a break in the lineup. That's another example that this team, the more advanced teams like the Banditos, will do to you. Is you give them an ounce, you let down for a second, take your eye off of the base runner, they make you pay.
LeBlanc, RBI single in his first plate appearance. Guess it's one of the more challenging things early on as a pitcher. Obviously, when you get to the major league level, especially in the National League, you don't have to hit. But especially early on in your career, I know that at the high school level and at college, they love a pitcher that can swing the bat as well. But it'll ground out here to end the inning. When we come back, Krista will talk to the coaches. 5-2 as we head to the fourth here in Miami. Back at Miami, 5-2 is our score. Let's check in once again down on the field with Krista Bedard, who's with the head coach of the Cobras.
Well, guys, I'm standing by with our head coach, Frank Mora. Now, aggressive base running led to your first score. Was that part of today's game plan?
Yeah, that's our bread and butter. We like to put pressure on other opponents, and you know, we got good speed. We don't have a lot of power, but we got good speed, so we got to put pressure on the defense.
Well, it's a relatively close ball game. You're only trailing by 3 runs. How do you string a couple of hits together?
Find a way to get on base and do what we do best, is put pressure, hit and run, steal bases.
All right, Coach, we'll be looking forward to it. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Kristen. Still a phenomenal opportunity for these 4 teams here on our first day to get an opportunity to be showcased nationally on MLB.com, and later tonight at 8 o'clock. I know you're looking forward to the Home Run Derby, where we should see some explosive hitting.
Always look forward to the Derby, any home run derby, but the win would be a little tougher tonight if it keeps like this. We got a little breeze in our face right now coming in from left field. We'll see how much that impacts the Derby.
Yeah, it's not going to make it easy.
Oh.
That'll be coming up at 8 o'clock tonight. 44 pitches have been thrown by LeBlanc, and he will start the 4th inning, but the question is, how long will he go, especially this early in the year? Luke Pollock is the first hitter he'll see. Bouncer to second, and an easy play made for out number 1.
He's going to keep going if he gets those first pitch outs like he just did there. Obviously, Pollock, the left-handed hitter, swinging first pitch, gets an easy ground ball there. LeBlanc did, and 1 pitch went out. It's the way you want to do it.
Eisenman had the RBI single back in the first. It's been the big hit for the Cobras. One of 2 hits that they have in the contest against LeBlanc. Chopper here, and LeBlanc continues to showcase his range. I can tell you this, I know for sure that when he's out of the field and he's not pitching, he's making a number of tremendous defensive plays as well.
Well, that's a terrific play, not an easy one. A high chopper, it's over your head, and he comes off the mound and makes a great play. And easy play. That's his 4th play that he's made today, including an impressive 1-4-3 double play back in the 2nd inning.
When he started, we told you, with 44 pitches. Hasn't taken him many to get 2 outs. 4 pitches into it, he's 1 out away from closing down the 4th. He's got to get through Julian Gonzalez now. who's the batter.
He doesn't seem to be gassed at all. Gets the sign and delivers really in a good rhythm here. Outside of those first hitters of the first inning, he and Cruz have been locked in with their game calling and their pitch sequences. Very unusual for this time of the year for 13 years old.
Fouls the pitch back. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Excuse me, 1 ball and 2 strikes, I should say.
Reach back for a little extra there, LeBlanc did, and up in the strike zone, but good velocity there.
From ahead to 3-2. And I'm sure he'd love to avoid that 2-out walk that we saw provide some chaos in our first game, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He was ahead of Gonzalez, but he couldn't close the door.
And in the inning. Yeah, hit 1-2, and all of a sudden he went to a walk. That's one he'd like to have back. 2 outs, nobody on. You certainly try not to have any letdowns. And he was going and rolling so well there that maybe he did have a little bit of a letdown.
Here's Alex Mora. Swings through 1 up in the zone.
But he's really, LeBlanc has gotten into a very nice rhythm.
And now he's 1 pitch away from ending the inning again, but he's even further ahead here. It's 0-2.
You know, Bernie brought up, is he going to be fatigued? Been watching him real carefully. Doesn't seem to be at all.
Got him swinging. A strikeout to retire the side. An impressive performance so far by LeBlanc. And this time he just fired strike number 3 right by him.
Almost looked angry right there. After walking the hitter, he comes right at Moore with 3 straight pitches, ends up striking him out to end the inning.
And so far, it's been an impressive performance by LeBlanc as he has held the Cobras to only 2 hits so far in this ball game.
Yeah, 4 Ks and 3 walks, but 2 of those walks were back in the first inning. So picks up that 4th K. He had 3 strikeouts in the last 2 innings.
And so far, smiles all around, and I'm sure smiles with their head coach, who's standing by down on the sideline with Kristen Bedard.
Well, guys, I have Ray DeLeon, the MVP Banditos head coach. Now, Ray, there's no denying that this roster is absolutely stacked. But for a newly formed team, what type of adjustments as a coach have you needed to make with these players?
Speak Spanish, first of all. No, I'm joking. Just trying to get them better, trying to get everybody together, and trying to figure out everybody's niche right now. It's new, and like I said, this roster could change in the next couple of weeks. We're just trying to fill everybody out right now.
Well, some of your players are already starting to stand out. LeBlanc, your pitcher, is one of them. How can you evaluate today's performance so far?
Pretty good. He was a little wild, erratic early, but he's pounding strike zone, throwing strikes now, and like again, this is the first time they're playing 60-90. They should be playing 54 feet, but we're kind of pushing them and playing at the 60-90 feet right now.
All right, Coach. Gracias, and I'll send you guys back up to the booth.
Hey, thanks so much. Speak Spanish, I guess.
We got KB throwing a little Spanish his way there. There you go.
He's trying to coach him up, right?
It's an interesting perspective, though, when you talk about Ray. Ray, joining a very strong personality, but most of these players aren't his. Most of these players are the team MVP, coached by Mike Segura and run by Mike Segura. So, it gets a little tricky when Ray has something to say, if it's a little bit negative, and, you can get some feelings, bent out of shape a little bit there if you're not used to his style of coaching.
But still, you would assume if you're a young player and all that you've heard about what he's done with the Banditos, it's got to be a tremendous amount of respect, and what an opportunity for these youngsters to get a chance to learn from such a great coach.
Well, he's one of the best coaches there at this level, and certainly can be tough and on his players. We've seen that. You and I both have seen that along the way for 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. But you're right. He is a very, very good coach.
Booker swings at the first pitch, and he's got the 3rd hit of the ball game for the Banditos. Excuse me, 7th hit of the ball game, I should say.
So here's an example right now. In between innings, we're watching Ray DeLeon talk to Booker at the plate. Says, you know what, here's what I want you to do. Have a nice, short, level stroke. All right? Keep your hands right in a good hitting zone and just bring the bat to the baseball, nice and short. What's he do? First pitch, hits it up the middle for a base hit. Now, is that Ray's credit? Booker's credit? You know, Booker obviously is the one who performed the act of hitting, but the reminder, I think, is there. That's something that any good coach will bring to the equation.
Pitch out called on the first pitch because this Banditos squad, they've been running all over the Cobras in this contest. Booker with a good lead again here.
Sanchez, of the two pitchers that we've seen today, has been much better at holding runners, and so we've seen that running game slow down a little bit here in the last 2 innings. It was a track meet, as we talked about earlier, back in the first inning.
This one lifted into center field, and a nice job there by Mora, who got a good jump, and going the other way was Booker. He was almost at second base, and they doubled him up.
Well, that's a nice relay.
It was Booker, because, man, that one looked for sure like it was going to fall.
It did. It did. I'll tell you what, a couple things on this one, again, early on, but the base runner, Booker, was taking off. He got a bad read. It's one of those where you have to see it. It's hanging up. But as you see, the nice play there by the center fielder, Booker, as he touched second base and rounded second, he has to come back and touch second base on his return to first base. He didn't do it, but it didn't end up mattering anyway because they end up doubling him off at first base.
So Segarra flies into a double play, and Gonzalez, the scoop, and he ends the inning. Tosses it across. We move on to the fifth here in Miami. Banditos up 5-2. Cobras looking for a comeback. It's the 2015 USSSA Summer Championship Series powered by MLB.com. And earlier today, we get to talk with Tyson Hanisch from the MLB Digital Academy. And I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
We've seen LeBlanc pitch. When they put him up on MLB and the Digital Academy, they upload his video. Who should he try to compare himself to?
Well, you know, it's a tough one because when you look at it from a left-hand standpoint, if you remember J.C. Romero or Ricky Romero. Remember, Ricky Romero was a pretty good pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays before he had some injuries, and that's the kind of guy that he reminds me of a little bit, left-handed, you know, with a nice compact delivery, and the stuff that comes out of the ball, the way the ball comes out of his hands, very, very impressive. He's maintained his velocity here into the fifth inning, into the fourth inning here, and I'm really impressed for this early in the season to have this kind of command and this kind of velocity. Now, the thing is, we talked about last inning to keep an eye on now, it will be that fatigue. The first pitch that he throws up high and away, that's usually an indicator of fatigue.
Comes back and evens the count at a ball and a strike to Mateo Canola, 8th grader, catcher for the Cobras.
Looked like Cruz thought that was a strike, held it a little longer for the umpire to see if he could get the call. No luck.
He's behind 3-1 here.
And pumping all fastballs here. LeBlanc is at the bottom of the lineup. He's facing the 8, 9, and 10 hole hitters, and these are generally the weaker hitters, as we know.
And a walk issued here to begin the fifth.
So the last 2 innings, he's had runners on. Both leadoff hitters have been on, so we'll see what he can do here to stay out of trouble. 3-run lead here in the top of the fifth. Starting to run out of time. This game's going to be an hour and 15-minute time limit as well.
Brian Gonzalez at the plate. It does change the complexion a little bit as opposed to 7 innings, the game being on a time limit. And we see Cigar with a nice flip, and it goes a 4-6-3 double play, and there's quickly 2 outs.
Well, all of a sudden, LeBlanc gets himself out of trouble. The leadoff walk. I'll tell you, Seguro made the play on that one. He got the ball in and out of his glove so quickly, gave the shortstop plenty of time to make the throw to first for the double play. That's the second double play they've turned today.
Beautiful flip. And a nice job there by Walsh with a stretch at first base.
The one difference we've seen this game versus the one before this, where the 13-year-old, the middle infield combination, certainly getting the ball across the diamond with some arm strength on it, and that's the difference that we see sometimes with 13-year-olds. That throw is a difficult one for him, but it hasn't impacted either of the middle infielders.
Peter Hernandez. See that off the field he's known for his fluorescent shoes. The shoes have been one thing that's really, the colors of the shoes have been something that's really dramatically changed in the last couple of years. Cobras have said as it's 3 balls and no strikes. It's one thing that would help keep you on a dark night.
Although
it's all about the personality, isn't it?
It is about a little bit about the style and personality, but in this particular case, he's not wearing those funky spikes, funky looking spikes.
Kristen Bedard will talk to Alex Fernandez, who is well known down here in South Florida in between the innings, and he's invested some of his money right back in the community here in a field now named Alex Fernandez Field. And Ray DeLeon out to the mound, and it looks like we're going to see a new pitcher for the Banditos.
Now, one thing Ray is decisive. He sees the bottom of the lineup, he sees 2 walks, and it's squeezed in the middle of that, a 4-6-3 double play. He's up to 67 pitches, and it's early on. He's going to go out by some time. Didn't notice him having anybody down in the bullpen, so now he's going to get bullpen action.
Well, just about everything has gone right for LeBlanc outside of that initial sacrifice walk back in the first, that strangely enough helped create that first run of the contest. You open up the game with a strikeout.
Interesting interaction with Ray and his pitcher. I don't know what it was he was saying. He spent a little extra time out there. Got more time to talk to his pitcher than normal. Got him laughing. Got the umpire laughing. It's part of his personality, no doubt about it. In the meantime, he's got a pitcher down in the bullpen throwing a couple of pitches and getting loose.
Bouncer to short, and Morales across the diamond and the side comes to its conclusion. We head to the bottom of the 5th. MVP Banditos leading 5-2. Go down to the field and check in with Kristen Bedard, who has the man that built this house, Alex Fernandez. Kristen, I'm not sure that we could hear you yet. Still maybe some technical issues. We'll head to a quick break, and when we come back, KB, you can chat with Alex Fernandez down on the field. Timeout here in Miami, 5-2 the score. Sun setting on a gorgeous day here in Miami, 5-2 the score. Let's check in once again with Kristen Bedard down on the field. KB?
Well, guys, I have a very special guest, a man who knows a thing or two about baseball and, of course, this facility. This is, of course, Alex Fernandez, the director of Mavericks baseball here at Archbishop McCarthy. Now, you've put together a beautiful facility. What went into putting some of this together?
Well, first of all, a lot of time and hard work. Great supporters that we have here in the school. And ever since I took over the program, I thought we could have a special place here. And fortunate enough, we've built something very, very special.
Now, whether you're a fan, a player, or anyone who wants to come watch this, what type of experience do you hope they take away from this field?
Well, I think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, high school place to play baseball. We make it announcing, music, great food, so it's really entertaining here.
As a former professional player, someone who's won a World Series, what can you say about these youth tournaments that show some of the premier players and what they could potentially do with their baseball futures?
Well, I think it's outstanding what MLB is doing now, UAAA. They're really showcasing these players, these high-end players, and we're lucky to have them here in our facility. So it's exciting for all the high schools around and obviously for these young kids.
All right, thank you so much, Alex. I know we're happy to be here. Bernie.
Thank you, KB. An error to start the inning is going to give the Banditos yet another base runner. 5 runs on 6 hits. 2 errors charged to the Banditos. That's the first error charged to the Cobras today.
Tough play on that. It was a slow roller, and he had to charge it hard, but Morales can run a little bit, put pressure on the shortstop there, and the throw was wide of the bag.
So Morales is aboard for the first time in this contest. This is Maurice Hampton. Great to see all the former major leaguers come back at the end of their time as a player and invest back in the community.
Yeah, there is. You know what? And that's the thing that's really stands out and special about what Alex has done here. This facility is one of the top ones in the country.
There is a look at what Hampton can do. That one sails all the way to the wall, and he's racing around to third. A nice relay throw, but he's going to get an RBI triple, and it's 6-2.
Oh, we started to see a little bit of the package that Hampton brings to the equation, the power and the speed. As he rounded the bases there, getting to third base, he caught up to the base runner Morales, who was only slightly ahead of them, and luckily they held him at third base. Who knows, he might have passed the runner going to home plate. That was a bomb. One hop the fence and left center.
It drives in Morales, who scores for the first time in the contest, and the first pitch swinging for Walsh. He hits it into center, and Mora made it look hard, but is able to make the play. But officially it'll go in the books as a sacrifice as Hampton comes in to score the second run of the inning.
Well, nice piece of hitting there by Hernandez, and taking a pitch that you can drive or trying to drive up in the strike zone and really drilled it to deep center field. You see the outfielder already playing deep, and he had to go back a couple of steps and made a tough play on that ball.
Walsh at the plate now. After the sacrifice fly by Hernandez. 7-2 the score. Took a big cut there.
Well, Sanchez done a nice job here pitching in relief and really getting them through really the 4th inning of work. 52 pitches. This is not an easy lineup to navigate through. He's done a nice job of basically throwing strikes and making them put the ball in play, and with the exception of this inning, he hasn't been hit all that hard.
Down and outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. Sanchez now has thrown 54 pitches. Number 55, a bullet for a strike.
Not bad there for, well, 3 1/3 inning. If you get to 4 innings at about 15 pitches per inning, that's about average for a pitcher, so pretty much on pace.
And he gets a called strike 3, and now there's 2 away here in the bottom of the 5th.
Only his second strikeout. He's only walked 1 hitter as well. And go back and see the error that he had committed behind him in that first batter this inning, and that would have been the 3rd out. So he'd be out of the inning just fine with 56 pitches. Instead, he's got 1 more out to get.
And he'll try to get Joseph Cruz, who walked in his first plate appearance. He's 0 for 1. chops the first pitch foul. Ray DeLeon out of the coach's box. Been chatting up the local crew here this weekend.
Last 2 innings spent a fair amount of time talking to the crew down there along the third base side.
Bouncer to short. How about the play for Gonzalez from his knees? He just doesn't have the arm on this big field to make the play, but credit him with a great stop.
Nice stop there to his back end, not an easy play. Cruz can really run for a catcher, good athlete, got down the line really well and ends up getting himself an infield single. The one thing that stands out about the Banditos that we've seen here is they really have a nice approach against breaking balls too, for the most part. They stay back nice with a nice approach.
Seven runs, 8 hits for the MVP Banditos. And LeBlanc an opportunity to add to the totals. I may assume that he is done for the day, but I guess we'll have to see who comes out to the mound to start the 6th inning. And this is a game that is on a time limit because it's a semifinal and in Super NIT action. That is a rule in some tournaments around the country. Scoots away, and Cruz is in scoring position now.
Down in the bullpen, Maurice Hampton, the center fielder that legged out the triple. He's got to, might as well try closing it out too. He's done everything else today.
Why not, right? The way that I've seen him swing the bat and run the bases, I'm excited to see him throw.
I am too. Getting close to the time limit here as we look at this game at 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah, the time limit may be the only thing that allows us not to see Hamilton, but he'll likely be on the air tomorrow at 10:30. It's a nice play there made by Pollock. Comes off the bag, grabs it, makes the tag, and ends the inning. Moving on to the 6th, 7-2. MVP Banditos on top in the 2015 USSSA Summer Championship Series. Colby Mayo is the new pitcher for the MVP Banditos and finishes out a phenomenal day for LeBlanc. Not a bad way to start the season. Come in as dominant as he was. Really, his only issues came back in the 1st inning.
5 innings of 2-hit ball. Pretty impressive outing when you look at it overall with LeBlanc. And, you know, he got into a rhythm after that 1st inning. He settled down after the 2 walks in that inning and only walked 2 hitters, make that 3 hitters at the end. He ran out of gas a little bit in that 5th. I think Ray DeLeon saw that, and that's why he's going to the new pitcher here, Colby Mayo. And, well, you couldn't get 2 different pitchers, could you? One left-hander, strong kid. Now you got right-hander who's a little bit thin and funky. We'll see how he finishes it off.
So Mayo in to close things off, and again, we talked about the differences. Sometimes, even at 13 years old, they all may look the same, but puberty happens different for everyone, and you could see just the difference in the build from LeBlanc to Colby Mayo.
Now, this looks like a 13-year-old, really. I mean, or a 12-year-old almost. I mean, he's the way he should be. But, you know, some kids, they look at it, they go, geez, how come I don't look like LeBlanc?
Right,
you know?
right.
I mean, sometimes you see those type of guys, they fill out and they don't get much bigger. So just happens to be the age. I went through that with my son. My son grew a ton between the ages of 13 and 14.
But is that where it's so important for you to, I guess in some ways, the old adage, stick with the plan, keep listening to the coach, keep working on the fundamentals, because eventually your time will come?
You know, it's a good question. Yeah, the answer to that is yes. If you like the sport of baseball, it's a beautiful sport, and you're playing at this high level, whether you're playing at as an elite player or not, you can learn something. As you grow physically, you're going to get better. You're learning against some of the best competition in the country. eventually, you don't have to be the top player at this age group and get to be physically stronger, and all of a sudden, boy, you pass some of the guys that maybe were good at age 13 or 14. We see that all the time.
1-1 popped up on the infield and caught for out number 1. And it doesn't say that you don't have to be one of the best players at the elite level to even make an impact at the high school level.
No, it's true. I mean, I think that's the interesting thing about it is this will prepare you for the high school level, but you play at this level no matter how good or bad, and go back to your own high school and make a positive impact on it. And geez, once you finish off your high school season, a lot of options going on to college.
Ortiz takes a called strike. Yeah, because I think that there's always a lot of focus on the highest of the high of the the Southeastern Conference, the ACC, the Big Ten, but there's opportunities that exist at many more levels, even collegiately, in the game of baseball.
Right, that's right. And I think that's the thing is you'll find your level. When you play at this level, it's fun. And as the batter gets hit, as Ortiz gets hit in the back of the leg, you find the level that you're capable of playing at. And you know what? If it's not playing, maybe it's coaching. Maybe there's other. I've made a profession out of this, getting into the front office. I played at the college level, but I couldn't play professionally. I hope to. I said, you know what? How can I get into the? How can I stay in the game? Well, I went into the front office side. Many of these guys here that are playing today, who knows what their career is going to be? Maybe it's in baseball.
First pitch for Pollock popped up and will drift out of play. Had to be an interesting route getting into becoming into the front office and general manager. What was that like for you at first?
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't at the time know what I wanted to get into, even until I got to college, towards the end of my college career. And luckily, 7 years older than me was my cousin who got into professional baseball.
Into right, that'll fall for a base hit. Ortiz is headed to third, and he's going to have an opportunity to score the third run of the game. Pollock is in at second, and he has an RBI double, driving in Brandon Ortiz.
Well, nice job by Pollock. We heard before this game started that he was one of the better hitters, and he's shown a good eye at the plate. This one, he ends up taking a low fastball. You see him drill it into right center field. Ends up at second base with an RBI. Nice piece of hitting. Getting back to your original question, so guys like my cousin and others got into the game because they weren't able to play at the professional level, and I followed in his footsteps and found out that, it's a heck of a career to get into, and it was a passion no matter what the pay was. It was something that you enjoy doing, and I think that's the key is whatever job you end up taking down the road, it's something that you have a passion about. You don't mind putting in the hours.
It's just amazing how much math has played into the equation of becoming a general manager the last decade.
Math, statistical background, business background, all of those things that, you kind of weren't sure if that was going to ever play into the game. Now more important than ever, having that understanding, that business and baseball background. Those are some of the best general managers. Some of the best general managers in the game never played professionally now. And that's been the change over the past 15 or 20 years, and that opened up opportunities for guys like myself to have a career in it.
Yeah, I guess at first it used to be just about having the eye.
Used to have the eye, used to be if you played the game. There was a lot of general managers that actually were in the game and played. My mentor was Frank Cashin, who was a longtime general manager for the Orioles and Mets. And, just voted, there's a book out on general managers in the game. He was voted to be the 10th best general manager of all time. I had the opportunity to learn under him in my days with the Mets. And he was one of those hybrid executives I've been talking about.
Popped up, and it gets down and finds a spot. Pollock is going to hold it third, and a pretty good inning here for the Cobras. They string together 3 consecutive hits, and there's runners on the corners now for Julian Gonzalez.
Cobras showing some life here. The first inning, and here potentially in the last inning. We're getting close to time limit, but they've strung together a hit by pitch double and now a single scored a run.
Gonzalez popped out in the first and walked his last plate appearance. So I got to ask you, in the major leagues, who do you think has been one of the best general managers this offseason in getting their team ready to make the biggest move?
You got to look right at San Diego. The brand new general manager, A.J. Preller's done a heck of a job. First time GM, Bernie, I'll tell you what, I was hiding underneath my desk, shying away from the media. I was 37 years old. Here's A.J. Preller, his first time at 38, and he's making trades, revamped his whole outfield. He's been one of the MVPs so far this winter.
It should be interesting, and they have a tremendous staff now out in San Diego as well.
It's one of the great ballparks and great cities. Finally got some life in that town there. Beautiful ballpark's going to have the All-Star game.
It's a great place to pitch, so I guess it's easy to help recruit pitching out there.
Not as easy to find position players, and that's what he traded for.
Mora out to left. A nice little grab ends the inning. But three. I thought that they're saying it did hit the ground. Excuse me. Let's take one more
popped
look.
out his glove here. I didn't see that. It looked like he caught it.
So run number 4 does come across in the likes of Pollock. So credit Gonzalez with putting the ball in play. Let's take one more look. This is Alex Mora now.
The catcher, number 5, Mateo.
Oh, excuse me, Mora with the pop-up. Here's one more look at the play a moment ago.
And he came in kind of a little bit of a circuitous route there, and yeah, it hit off his glove. So it's not an easy play to come in on a ball like that and ball handcuffed him.
This now will retire the side, but 3 hits in a row helped produce 2 runs. It's 7-4 as we head to the bottom of the 6th here in Miami. Well, it's a final here in Miami, 7-4 in a time-shortened game, but an impressive performance by the Banditos today, Jim.
Well, there's no doubt, and really it was started with their pitcher, Adrian LeBlanc. You know, he really did a nice job after that first inning and shut down the Cobras there with only 2 hits and 2 runs through 5 innings, but he settled down after that first inning and kept them really from getting any more runs. In the first inning, of course, MVP Banditos come back with 4 runs in that first inning, and that was all they really needed after that because LeBlanc shut them down.
Well, in the world of MLB.com was introduced today of a name that we might hear in the next couple of years in Maurice Hampton, who showcased his power and speed on the base pass.
Hampton, couple hits today, really athletic player at age 13. The size stands out, the athleticism stands out. He ripped a single in that first inning for an RBI, and then you look at the triple to left center field. Pretty amazing watching him run the bases.
Well, the Banditos move on. Tomorrow they'll take on number 1 team Panama at 10:30 a.m. Eastern on MLB.com. What do you think about the matchup?
You know what, this is one that we thought was going to be there when we looked at the pairings, the 2 teams. It's really the 2 best teams at the U13 in this tournament. Team Panama, we saw them earlier, swing the bat well. MVP Banditos, clearly one of the top teams in the country.
For Jim Buchanan, Krista Bedard, Bertie Gunther saying so long from Miami. Coming up next at 8 o'clock, it's the Home Run Derby here on MLB.com.